Hello, students. Here we are with yet another portion of our history chapter of class 7th. Okay. Okay. Now, we were talking about how the Samantas came up, right, in the previous video. And now they had to rule over the kingdom. So, here we're going to talk about the administration in the kingdoms which were prevalent in the medieval times. Now, many of these new kings who came up, remember the Samantas taking up the positions of Mahasamantas, Mahamandaleshwaras, and now they got huge titles. Okay, they got the titles like Maharaja Adhiraja, which means great king or overlord of kings. Tribhuvana Chakravartin, which means the lord of three worlds. Okay, so huge names, right? Big titles were given to them. Kings often shared power with their samantas as well as with the association of peasants, traders, and brahmanas. So you must be aware that in the caste system of ours, the brahmanas play a very big role, right? They are the topmost hierarchy of that caste system. So in the time of the medieval era also, the brahmanas used to play a huge role in the administration of the kingdom along with the peasants who used to actually work and they had to pay the taxes, and there were traders also. Okay, so moving ahead, um, in each of these states, what used to happen is that the resources were obtained from the producers. Okay, and who were the producer over here? There were three basically types of producer that we can talk about: the peasants, cattle keepers, and the artisans. Okay, now sometimes these were claimed as rent due to a lord who asserted that he owned the land. So remember, the lord, the overlord, he used to think that he is all the owner. So he used to take something as the rent, right? If you have a land, if you're a peasant, you have to pay a rent to the lord, and the revenue was collected from the traders. Okay, so this is the way in which they were collecting the money for running the administration of the kingdom. Now we'll talk about specifically about the taxation which came up in the medieval period. And here in front of you is the taxation system of the Cholas, who used to rule in which state? Think. Yeah, it's Tamil Nadu. Okay, and they used to have actually 400 terms for different kind of taxes, and the best known tax was the vetti. Okay, vetti was not taken in cash but in the form of a forced labor. People had forced the people to work on their land without any pay. Okay, so that is how you're making a person work without giving him pay. So that was called as vetti. And there was kadamai, which was the land revenue. A peasant would have to pay a land revenue, whatever you are producing on your land. So that's why you have to pay a revenue to your lord. That was called as the kadamai. And there were also taxes on thatching the house, use of ladder to climb the palm trees. Okay, so these were the three major ways in which the Chola Empire was taking in all the taxes, right? Okay, now just compare, think in your mind. This was a taxation system in the Chola period, right? What is the way in which are we collecting taxes in our current period of time? Think about it. Okay. Um, when you go to restaurant, you pay kind of a tax over there, right? Look into some previous restaurant bills of yours and see over there which kind of tax you're actually paying. Okay, and then you'll be able to compare the taxation system of the medieval period with that of our current era. Okay, all right. So moving ahead, what was the purpose of collecting these taxes, right? What is the purpose that we collect the tax in our current days? The government has to run the administration, right, out of this, and we use it for various purposes also. Okay, similarly here the kings used to finance their establishment when they have to run their administration. So they need the money, so that money is going to come from the taxation. Okay, number two, it is for the construction of the temples and the forts. They used to construct huge temples. Seen the Chola temples, very beautiful infrastructure. The huge amount of money was being spent on the such kind of establishments over there. And thirdly, they had to fight wars, which were in turn expected to lead to the acquisition of wealth in the form of plunder and access to land as well as trade routes. Why do we fight wars? because we want to acquire something that our enemy has. Okay, so here also the medieval era, the kings used to fight because they wanted wealth in return. Plunder means they used to go and take away all the wealth which was there over there. Okay, and they wanted to get more land under their administration, right? Have more land under them, so there'll be more taxes for them, you know and they wanted more trade routes. So these were the reason because of which they were having the taxation over here. And who were the ones who were going to collecting these taxes? It was basically the influential families, okay, or and they were in a position in which they were hereditary. Like if the father is collecting the taxation from a particular area, then next his son would be doing that for him. And this was true about the army as well. Okay, and in many cases close relatives of the kings used to hold all these kind of positions, right? So this was the administration system in the Chola Empire, or we can say in general about the new kingdoms that came up in the medieval era. So I hope this was clear to you. Thank you.